Hello everybody, and guess what? I'm so excited that I finally talked my beautiful wife, Leah, into doing a video with me. So, as you've been seeing over my progress over the last couple of years, slightly going from some sort of mental health advocate to sort of anti-government, anti-establishment, and in the last sort of 3 to 4 months, you've seen a rapid change. If you've been following me that long, you would have seen a rapid change in the way that I've been approaching everything. Well, the reason for that change is this beautiful woman here, my wife. What would you like to, what can you tell us about your journey and how you got to a practitioner, a deliverer? What are you?
I don't really like the word practitioner, but yeah, I guess that's what they call us. I prefer to just call it a channel because to me that's what it is. You're channeling source energy through to the client. So
okay, so because she's not much of a talker, because you probably, as you would have guessed, I do most of the talking in the house. I will probably do most of the prompting, and I'll get Leah to. So basically, the reason why I was so passionate about introducing Leah to the public is because I had fought depression and anxiety for a long time, and even though Leah had started down a sort of different path with energy healing before she settled back at the access bar sort of side of it, I had tried other stuff that she had sort of put me to, and I don't know, but your own progress in your own timing all happens for the right reasons at the right time. So, you know, it might necessarily be access bars being the number one answer for every person in the world, but I can tell you now that that was probably a milestone in the change of direction for me, and that came about from Leah. So I'll get Leah to explain a little bit about what the purpose of access bars are, but being that access bar doesn't have it has such a broad range of complexity in its delivery and its training that it's easier to talk about what triggers the things inside that the access bars treats. Is that easier?
not really. So basically, access bar. Like what access bars is 32 points on the head. So effectively, what you're doing is channeling source energy through yourself, through your hands, onto the head of the client in 32 different reference points. So those reference points is about creating change. So it's not about removing your reality or necessarily changing your reality or fighting it or removing it. It's about creating more opportunities to see a different reality. If that makes sense.
You can touch my head.
No, it's fine.
Can I just sit down for now? I don't think you can see me anyway.
No, I don't think so.
But
Yeah, so that's basically, in a nutshell, what access bars is. There's further trainings that you can do for Access Consciousness. So Access Consciousness is the company that provides all those different channeled modalities, I guess. Like they have body ones, they have facelift ones, they have a whole heap of different ones. But the access bars is kind of like a reset on the brain. So it's, you know, it's kind of, I guess, resetting any old programming that may be sort of stuck there and lets you see more opportunities, you know, that you can possibly, I guess,
manifest.
Yeah, and change your life for the better, I guess.
Yeah, that's for me. It's a unblocking of when you can't see the potential in yourself or the potential in the future because of the blockages that I had inside myself. I could only manifest negativity. I could only manifest repeating exactly the process that I've already been through. So is that the word that you might look for?
Yeah.
So just on the, because we have a wide-ranging audience here, because I try and pull everybody into this, I don't sit there and talk about a spiritual future, I don't talk about a biblical future, I don't talk about just a physical response to the shit digs that's going on at the moment. We've got a wide range of people that watch us, and so some people watch some of the videos, some people only watch some types of videos. So I think it's important that everybody knows that, you know, I'm an alpha, meathead, football player, and underground coal miner. And as Aussie as AF, that's the name of my mental health company, is Average AF. So I like to put myself out there, particularly with these ones, because people wouldn't believe it was possible for a meathead like me originally to be enlightened in the way that I have through Leah and her associates, the work that she's been doing. So the reason why I say that is because if you're sitting there going, energy, well, Leah said to me, can I hear a dog whistle? And I said no. And we've sort of expanded on that since then, saying, can we see microwaves heat our food? Can we see this camera take our picture and our voice, dissect it into a billion bits, send it to a tower that sends it to a satellite that's sending it to your house right now in under a 0.001 of a second to create a video feed? Well, if all of that's possible, then why isn't energy channeling possible?
Basically everything is energy. It's just our limited perception on what is physical, what we can't see, what we can see. Absolutely everything is energy.
And vibration is the physical part of it, or not?
Well, the physical part will be, you know, in our sense of touching something. That's what I class as the physical. It's how it vibrates, yes. So if it's vibrating at a certain speed or frequency, then that's what makes it appear physical. But it's just our limited perception, realistically.
Deep shit. That's like I try to embrace it, and the beauty of it is the one thing that you'll always find about me is, like I've said in a lot of videos, is I leave the book open now. So where 10 years ago I was, people with mental health are just pussies that won't get a job, you know, need to harden up and move on with it, you know what I mean? Like, you know, Sheila's don't deserve to be, you know, around and anything. I was never that bad, but you know what I mean? Like, it was always like big, rough and tough men, get out of the road, you know, and I'll do that, you know, soften me now that
I think you've got a lot of people that would vouch for what you used to be.
That's right. Not a lot of them follow me, because they really don't understand. Like, I probably have zero friends and workmates from the last 20 years that actually follow me and actually understand what I'm going through and what I'm doing and what changes I'm making at the moment, because they probably preferred the old rough and tough meathead, you know, have a problem punching in the face type of guy. So for me, it's been such a big traumatic change, is because, like I say in a lot of my videos, it's going to be the trauma, and this is where I think you can, you know, add some value about the trauma. So the trauma for me was 10 years of anxiety and depression. The trauma for Leah was dealing with me during those 10 years of anxiety and depression. But the trauma for me was not going to be healed until I faced it and stopped blaming the rest of the world for you know, what was going on. So.
But that's where the access pass was really good, because what I said before about it opening up your perceptions, you know, unblocking those pathways that you just cannot see. When you've got, you know, if anybody has ever suffered any sort of, you know, depression or anxiety, you know, PTSD, you know, even ADHD, all those types of things, any basically sort of nerve disorder or adrenal disorder, hey, it just blocks you. You can't think of anything else, and that's why access bars is so good for that. It helps to release that blockage, and so that you can heal, so you can move forward and heal.
Yeah, so for me, I remember I had a Reiki session, and you know, I can meditate. I know how to meditate, okay, for me. But so I just, you know, when I do any types of these sessions, Bowens, all the different things that I've done over the years, I've always sort of been in a meditative state, which I guess sort of gives you a good feeling result anyway. But the access bars was something that I was sort of going through, and I couldn't help but not want to open my eyes and look at my wife, because of the heat that the energy generates makes you think that you're being someone's taken the piss, that someone's got lighter or some sort of heating device in there. If it wasn't my own wife, I would have been thinking this is some kooky bullshit, snake oil sales type shit. It's got to be a trick to it. But the heat was what really sort of got to me, was knowing that something was going on and then being able to feel it, feel the energy in my body. It was incredible. But then there's a part of it that I'm blocking.
Well, everybody's experience is different too. So and every channeler or practitioner, whatever you want to call healers, energy healers, they all do something. They all do something different. So mine is definitely heat that comes out of my hands. It's quite intense sometimes, depending on how intense the energy is that I'm working with and working through. Some people have tingles, so some people might just have like tingly hands. Some people might have cold. I'm really not too sure. I can only go on what I go on, but I know that there are different, types of energy that does come through. So
yeah, and that was like, it led to the point where you asked me some questions. I gave you some answers about entities, which was the next part that we were going to talk about. But the entities was when she cleared the entities.
Just want to say though, the entity sounds really scary and really like, what the hell is that? And I must admit that when I first came across it too, I was like, whoa, what is this? But it's like anything new, anything new that happens, especially in the spiritual world, it's like it takes you back a little bit until you can step out of the thinking mind and realize what is happening and just process the information. So entities sound super scary, but it's really not. And I like to look at them as a positive. So basically, entities are attracted to our trauma. So we'll start with the chakras first. So we have 7 major chakras in our body. They all have different things. They're all related to different parts of the body. I won't go into that today because that's a whole nother video on its own.
Thousands.
Yeah.
Do they get in the body list?
Yeah.
One. Something like that?
Well, there's one up in the head and there's one in the third eye. So
is it higher?
I need to
spread them out.
Get rid of that one. And get rid of that one. And then one in the third eye and then one on the crown.
One here?
Yeah.
And one here?
Yeah.
And one here?
Is that 7? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, that's 7.
We have one on the sphincter?
Yeah. No.
No, not on the
Groin
sphincter.
area, yes.
Okay. On the sphincter. Good.
Yeah.
I'm
So-
not a professional, certainly not a drawer.
So I'm not going to go into the chakras today because it is a whole nother video. Like it is a massive video on its own. If you don't know what the major chakras are, if you feel like looking them up, go for it. There's so many videos out there. Basically, our chakras are our energy systems and our energetic body systems within the body. The entities are attracted to our trauma. So if you go through a trauma, let's say that something happens to you, you go through something that's very traumatic and you don't express it, you don't talk about it, you don't tell anybody, okay? You just go, oh, this is very bad, this is very scary, I'm just gonna not tell anybody and I'm just gonna hold on to this. Now when you hold on to your trauma, it actually gets pushed down your chakras. So when we talk about it and move on from it, it's expelling that energy from your body. So you're not holding on to that trauma and that dense energy. So when we push it down into our chakras, we're holding on to it, and then our body tries to tell us, you've got this dense energy in you, you need to get rid of this. That could come up in, say, arthritis or
Disease.
yeah, dis-ease. So any sort of dis-ease in the body, could be anything. Our body is always trying to tell us there's something going on here, and if you can really tune into your body, you can really make some really good progress. So say you've got this trauma inside of you and you haven't done anything about it, you've suppressed it. Then along comes a little entity, and they're just creatures. They're just energy creatures that just come into your body. And I don't want to scare anybody, so please, don't take this as a fear video at all. It's just for information, for you to know what exactly happens, for you to understand a little bit more about what happens on the energy body level. So these entities come into your body. Some of them are, again, they're like everything's different levels. So some can be just really quiet and placid and not really do much. They might just give you a little niggling, annoying thing in your body, some sort of disease. That, to me, I like these entities because they're drawing attention to us to say, hey, you've got something here, let's work on this, let's remove it, let's talk about it, let's get it out, let's move past it.
Yeah, if they don't have it, the trauma's harder to realise that you've got. So yeah.
So they're doing us a favour.
They're doing us a favour. It's like my COVID opinion. We kill more people die every day of cancer that apparently is not curable. More people die every day of heart disease from alcohol that apparently is acceptable to still have alcohol everywhere. Then the COVID numbers. We don't want people to die, and we don't want people to die of the COVID vaccines, but it's been the catalyst for waking up so many people to understand that we need to fight back and get rid of the traumas that are starting to sort of manifest themselves now. So traumas could be, all of the things, funnily enough, that they're dealing with is like, poverty, it is disease, it is financial hardship, it is pedophilia. These are all the things, funnily enough, that they're sort of peddling through now as their new age and new world order sort of stuff. But realistically, they also form most of the trauma that we've suppressed as people in this life and past, possibly. But even if we just stuck to this life, that the COVID became the entities that started bringing our traumas to the surface of life. So when you talk about the energy body, without the entities, we just continue just to pedal on through that trauma. Yeah, fair enough. Is that easy a way to explain it? I have to explain it in my own way. Her way will make sense, Leah's way will make sense, and most people will agree that Leah's way will be better, but I've got to say it my way out loud.
Well, everybody has a different interpretation on how they
for sure, but
perceive things. So.
I'm never trying to change Leah's words. I'm always trying to say it in words that mean something to me. So.
Yeah, that's right. There might be people that are watching that won't understand what the hell I just said, but they'll understand what you said. So that's.
Well, I was trying to tie it more back into. So I always try and take smart, educated points of view and turn them into the average layman's thinking. So when you're talking about the training that these people do for healing and energy, you can tell that they've always got, when they're talking, they're always trying to not dumb it down, but they're always trying to take short, like side angles to explain to you. Because if they walked in and go, right, what we're going to do is going to clear your chakras out of the little entities that are all clinging onto it, you'd be like, people just check out. Oh, no, this is either bullshit, or it's too much for me to handle, or my anxiety flares up that I'm here to try and work on.
And I find that quite hard because I'm very just say what it is. So that's why I'm kind of like trying to explain it in a way that makes
She's
sense
explaining
to
it
people.
in a way that she wouldn't explain it normally. If you were here for one of these sessions, you would probably have a base knowledge because you would have Googled it, someone friend would have told you to go and check it out. You'd have some sort of understanding. Whereas if you clicked onto this video by chance, just wanting to see what I'm explaining for the day, you've either checked out of it already, like, oh my god, they're talking about little black dark, little creepy alien things that are coming into our bodies. So I'm just trying to put it back to the fact.
I do want to make that really clear. That there is nothing to be concerned about, nothing to worry about at all.
And my understanding of what you've been telling me is that there is nothing that they can do to us
without your consent.
Without your consent.
Yeah.
So if you watch a lot of the spiritual stuff, they're always, or spiritual people, they're always very conscious of their words because it's almost like lawyers' agreements. So if you watch the lawyers, how particular they are with their words, shall and shan't and won't, Shart. You know, that would make a good lawyer. But you know, what I mean, like that, every word has just that little variance with one letter or one placement of the word can mean something completely different in the terms of law. So does the spiritual sort of law, I guess.
Yeah, well,
You've
they
got to
call
be-
it spelling for a reason.
Yeah, well, there you go, spelling. Yeah, so you know, so that's something that we need to understand too. Is that I try and bring everything back to a physical, comprehensible sense, so that we don't lose people on the journey of opening your eyes. Like I said at the start, the book stays open. Okay, so you read so far into a book, and then you're like, I've been told that this is a really good book, and lots of people read this book, and you know, millions of people understand this book. It's not for me yet, but you don't burn it, and you don't put it back to the library. You leave it open to where you could understand or where it was worth something to you, and you put it onto the side, and you start reading a little bit more of yours. And what I've found is that some of the stuff that didn't make sense as I've progressed back now completely made sense. Some of the pathways that I never thought I would go down, I'm now skipping down, and all of the things that got me to this position, that books are not closed, but I'm done reading. You know, so I've got as much information as I need out of them to intuitively use my intuition and my discernment to say, that's enough of that information. It was part of the path of waking me up to continue to grow and educate myself. So don't close books. You know, don't block yourself out, because it's probably a traumatic response in the first place at some level.
Yeah.
You know, if you believe that you've got to where you are with the shit that we've been struggling through in the last 3 years, that anything's going to change if we just continue to stay in the same system and play the same way, but in a game that was created by them for us to be slaves. Whether you believe it in the physical sense or whether you're starting to understand in the energy sense that we are the slaves. We are the slaves that provide physical labour, financial support, and or what we really know is energy. It's our energy, whether you see it as energy coming out of my body being extracted to those people, or energy being expelled to do the things that they want me to do in the physical sense, or actual negative energy that I bring when I'm sad and miserable, depressed and lonely. So any one of those ones is still a use of energy in a negative way for my body.
In saying that though too about the entities, like I said, there are different levels of strength with them. And I guess the more you fight against your trauma, the bigger it manifests. It definitely gets worse. And I'm sure Jodie can explain that, because, you know, then it turns into something that, like anxiety or depression, where you just cannot, there's just tunnel vision, you cannot see anything else. And, you know, they can get even worse than that too. So, you know, and again, I don't want to scare anybody, but it's just a fact, you know, like...
People need to, like I always say that we don't give people information based on fear.
Yeah.
Information is empowering. So when you've got all the information that's available to you, all the information that you can handle, it should empower you to be able to make better decisions, or empower you not to fear the unknown, not make you scared of it. So, you know,
awareness is key.
That's right. Awareness is more key. Like I said, if you sit in a shed in the dark and hear the noises of the bumps and the grinds and the rattles, and you are scared of it, and our job is to turn the light on, and you see the same thing, same movements of a bit of tin wobbling or a bit of iron rubbing against the side of it, or you know, a possum scribbling around or something along those lines. It's exactly the same noise in exactly the same situation. You're in exactly the same amount of danger, but your perception, having the knowledge of being actually able to see what it was, makes it completely different. So that's what we're trying to do by shining a light on things, is to say, well, it is a little bit scary if your head's shoved so far up into the sand, we'll say in the sand, your head's shoved so far into the sand that you just think that means that there is nothing scary around, because your head's in the sand like an emu. You know, ostrich, you know, like an ostrich, so that nothing can hurt you while your head's in the sand. Well, you're wrong. You know, we need to stand up tall, be proud, and be aware of what's going on around us, so that we acknowledge that there is bad things, and there is evil, and there is people doing nefarious things, and there is a lot more to this world than our physical freaking bodies. I mean, anybody at any level that believes that there's just one little planet in a gazillion stars that just happens to have one species on here that has one lifetime to live. I mean, save yourself the energy talking to those people, because that, like, literally, that is the definition of ego-driven arrogance.
And I think you've got a pretty decent video out there of the voice in my head. That's a really good, I guess, indication to think that you could possibly have an entity. If you're constantly getting negative thoughts, our bodies aren't designed to have those kind of thoughts. So if you're constantly getting those thoughts, then you could possibly have some sort of attachment. That's another name that I like to call them, attachments, because they're just, I guess it's a little bit nicer than an entity.
Dead weight hanging on to you that makes it harder to exist.
Yeah, well.
You know, you're burning energy by carrying them around.
Yeah.
And so when I was doing my access bars, we got to the point where we did the clearing of what the entities were, and you know, I had this just light bulb moment of just weight gone. Once they were,
it's pretty amazing.
I've never felt anything like it. I have tried different drugs, never been on an acid trip, so don't tell me to go and have one of them to equal what you think what I might be describing. But all I can tell you is that it is the most incredibly weird and simultaneously amazing feeling to get rid of that weight. You know, imagine being a 100 kilo person and waking up at 80 kilos the next day, and the hard work of carrying that extra 20 kilos is done. Like that's the equivalent mentally for me, you know. And the clarity that I had after that, and the drive and the confidence of, you know, knowing that the fight that I had been fighting in a one-dimensional fight, just this physical strength of everybody else was attacking me because of the, you know, nature of the whatever was causing me to have the issues of just anger and frustration because I couldn't fix myself, and thinking that I was trying to heal myself, and I wasn't really trying to heal myself. I was out there trying to heal everybody else as a direct reflection of what was wrong with me. You know, so Leah had 10, 12 years of, you know, hell, dealing with someone who, you know, had the potential to be me, and always being blocked, or always being moody, or always having anxiety, and always having depression, and never being able to truly free myself of it. You know, there's times where, you know, I always say that, you know, everybody has a baseline of what good looks like, and, you know, some people take, if that's the line of drugs, and that's the line of a shit life, a really low life. People that take, you know, people that live a nice life in here and they take drugs, well, they only go up a little bit, and then, you know, they come back down here. So they never seem to be the people that have the real major crutches for them. You know, whereas the people that live, you know, bad lives that seem to, you know, they go up to the same sort of high, but they've sort of got to come back down to such a low. So that's basically where I was with my moods, was when I wasn't feeling anxious, I want to use every bit of my energy. So Leah was always struggle to keep up with me, because I would be like, I want to go here, I want to do this, I want to take everything with me, I want to see all of my friends, I want to drink and party as loud as I can, because I know that on the other side of this I'm going to have a downward spiral. Well, half the reason, it took me a long time to work out that half the reason my downs were so bad was because my ups were so energetic. And this is without drugs or anything other than alcohol, but, you know, this is what I had to get my own balance, is that I was always trying to shave off the negative side of the downturn. So I was always trying to curve, like fighting against the entities or the blockages or the trauma, more like the trauma, always trying to curve that natural down, and so much extra energy and so much extra wasted time curving that one, when the one that was available to me really was, I started curving the up. You know, I started working on this sort of stuff on my up. So instead of getting blind and hanging out with friends and doing dead shit stuff and watching 13 movies because I was mentally alert to do it, I started checking off that and doing some education stuff and doing some trauma work and doing some some energy work and that sort of stuff, so that when I would come down here, well, I'd have a bit more in the battery. So by naturally the curve would also slow. I wouldn't have to be so low, because I would have enough energy left in my own energy body to turn it around. So, I can start coming up here and work, do some work, and come up here to try and get some sort of stable. It doesn't mean you don't ever want to have, the nice little spikes, and it doesn't mean you're not going to wake up on some days and just have a dip, but they don't affect the rest of your week. It's not just a continual sort of rough ride. It's just like, some days you're going to wake up, today's a day off for me, it's a nice day. We've been out with India this morning, but I'm still a bit tired, and I'm still not feeling super hyper energetic because I had a double workout yesterday. I had this stuff, same thing. Still, I felt really good yesterday, so I went to the gym, and then in the afternoon I went for a massive big long walk and did another live, and it takes its toll. So today I would have had more energy if I had to just even that out, but it's hard. It's still hard work. So.
Yeah. And that's not to say that access bars is the only answer. It's definitely not. And I'm not saying that you have to go and seek out a spiritual healer at all. We can do all this work ourselves, but it just helps to get the ball rolling for you, to make that clearance to be able to start the healing process if you haven't started already. And sometimes you might, you kind of, once you do the first one, I feel like your body just knows. Like, it just knows when you want to go back and have another session. I'm sure that there's people out there that probably, have access bars or Reiki or whatever done weekly, or, channelers are constantly working with energy. So, there's no limit, there's no maximum, it's just whatever you feel, I guess, is right for you, because everyone is going to be different, and there's so many different modalities out there as well. There's so many. Like, if you actually look into, spiritual modalities or energy healing modalities, there's lots and lots out there. It's, I guess, just picking something that works for you.
Listen, it's no different to a chiropractor. I've seen lots of chiropractors over the year. It works for me. Physio doesn't. Chiropractor gives me the instant relief that I need. But there's 20 chiropractors that I don't go back to, and 3 that I like. So that's
everyone's different.
Everybody's different. Everybody's body's different. Everybody's makeup is different.
And every channel is different.
That's right. So it's not. It's also about who you connect with. Intent is a big thing, but intuition, or more sort of discernment, is the word of the day that you're going to hear a lot more over the next couple of months. But discernment is really, trusting and that gut feeling, and trusting your gut feeling of what that person's intent is, and what that relationship feels like, without the blah blah blah.
Which is something that we have forgotten how to use, though. So that does take practice on how to get back to, using your intuition and following your gut instincts.
Yeah, but you'll notice it more in everything you do, because you haven't got the answers, and where you are isn't working. Otherwise, you wouldn't be out searching for answers, and you wouldn't be on truth channels. You would be stuck in the matrix and just ticking the box and playing the game, because
the answers are still within, though.
That's right. But you understand what I'm saying, is that you won't have the will to look for higher learning or ascension if you're comfortable doing the dumb shit that people are doing. It takes trauma, or the bubbling up of trauma, for people to start looking for answers, because you'll either check out, so you'll either go down the path of continuing to have entities and trauma just rolling you up.
And please don't do that. There's so many options out there.
Yeah, and that's where I was. I did 10 years of absolute stubborn, swinging the sword, just thinking that everything else was the problem. It's not me, it can't be me, And if you want to watch my video that I did the other day about, what do I call that one? The one where I broke down there's a video I did for a couple of days ago. I had names for all of them, but I can't remember that one. But yeah, like when I actually break it down for my trauma and understand where my trauma came from, and when it happened in this lifetime, when it happened, and what I did to suppress it, and what I did to shield myself, and what protection I put around myself by being the alpha and being the bully, and just swung that sword, and just to the point where I was just swinging the sword and swinging until I was so tired I didn't want to swing the sword anymore, and realistically all I wanted to do was fall on it. Because I was just didn't think I could swing it anymore. I wasn't the powerful man that was going to protect my family anymore. I was a hindrance to my family. I was making their life bad. So, that's where people go, check out or start healing traumas. Start facing traumas and healing traumas. And God bless whatever it was that put Leah with me in the first place, because we both now believe that my journey is to continue talking and spreading the truth, and her journey, unfortunately, has been to keep me going and growing to be able to to move forward. So we're both very comfortable that the pain we've been through has been for a much greater cause than just our own lives, and that's why we're sort of diving into this dual work. She's my rock for me to have the energy to be the light for as many people as we can sort of out there. So, but there's a lot more people like me that are going to be out there that are possible healers or helpers or whatever you want to call them. So they need to find their rock to start their journey too, because they carry so much trauma and have so much blockages. Like I said,
everyone has one person.
Yep.
So if you think that you're alone, you're definitely not. Everyone has one person at least that they can connect with during this time. We've set that up for ourselves before we come here. And that's the other thing too, that some of you might be sitting there thinking, well, I don't have any trauma, but I've got bloody anxiety and depression, or whatever the case may be. But there's so much more that we're healing on an astral level. Like, there's so many more other lifetimes that we have chosen, all of us have chosen this particular point in time to heal all of those. So there are lots of really good healers out there that can help with past trauma. So if there's nothing happening in your life now, or you don't think that there might be, they can possibly help with that. My only advice with that is just use your discernment on that, because there are people out there that just want to take your money.
Your great grandma's talking to me and she says, deposit $1,000 in my bank account and we'll go 10 minutes longer with her.
I do want to say though, there are a couple of other things that you can do at home to help clear your energy, so that if you think, oh no, that's not for me, I don't want to go and see someone, I'm not ready for that yet, there are things that you can do at home. And like Jody says, everything is intent. So even just the simplest thing of being in the shower and imagining white source light coming down over you, and the water itself is actually cleansing your body, removing any diseased energy from your body. And I say that in the shower. I say, I'm using this water to help remove any diseased energy in my body, any dense energy that doesn't serve my higher purpose or isn't for my greatest good, and releasing that. And that, even just that alone, is a massive help. You can use sage. Like, sage has been around for centuries, I think. So sage is a really good one for cleansing the space. And you just use a little mantra when you're walking around the house, and it's all about that intent of setting that intent that by using this sage, I'm cleansing my house of any dense energy that's not welcome here. What else? There's crystals. Selenite's a really good one. So you can just basically wave that, over your body, over your chakras. You can look all this sort of stuff up online, but they're little things that you can do to just instantly cleanse yourself that might make you feel better if you're feeling a bit yuck.
Can I just say too, so we have to understand that this world has been fed the story of gods since we've been allowed to remember, wherever it is that they've allowed us to remember by the books that they've written. There is billions of people on this earth who pray to invisible people that live in the sky. And yet, the moment you talk about this sort of stuff, people think of what we've been told to think of, which is witchcraft and higgledy-piggledy and
that conditioning.
Which is just, so always think about programming, always think about who it was that was telling you the bad things. You know, like I say that to a lot of people about China now when they're like, oh, China. And I used to say the same thing. I used to think about China. I'm like, hang on. How many times has China invaded another country in the last 150 years? And how many times has America done it?
Mm-hmm.
But America has done it because they want to take out weapons of mass destruction and they want to take down the terrorists from 9/11. And now I go, what a load of shit.
Mm-hmm.
These are the profiteers that have been telling us that everybody else is bad and they're the good guys, and now we're starting to bloody see, we're starting to see what it is. So all of the years of telling you, you know, oh, some bloody, you know, Fruit Loop, bloody hippie, bloody, you know, going out in the bush, you know, doing their bloody mashy mushrooms and tripping off their balls. And it's sort of like, oh yeah, well,
and I don't
do that.
care if people say that about me, because at the end of the day, that's just their reflection. It's not. It doesn't mean anything to me. It's their reflection of what they think about it for themselves. So.
And as soon as they open their mouth, you can tell how far indoctrinated they are by the system that they don't even know they are. Like I said, I'm talking to that young bloke the other day, and I'm saying, this guy said this, and this is the length of the conversation, this is the place you go to for the information on this and this. I'm giving citations, I'm giving quotations, and I'm giving information, and I'm giving statistics, and he's just, at a young age, he's just giving me back his opinion. And I'm like, well, do you know what your opinion is if it's unfounded and that you can't even give me a reference point? It is, you're repeating the narrative that you have heard through their outlets, through their TVs and through their radios, and maybe even through signals, you know, the 5G sort of stuff. You know, so if you don't even know where it is, and you can't even sort of tie it back to, I guess it comes from my family because my family had this, you know, love connection and they're a beautiful family, that's why I believe in all things love. If you can't even tie it back to that, if you're just saying, I think that I am repeating something that someone said to me, that's what it felt like. And I was like, bro, you don't even realise that you're so badly indoctrinated that you're standing here arguing with two grown men 15, 20 years you're older. We're talking about property prices, gold and valuations, that sort of stuff. I was like, you bought one unit in your years, and I have bought and sold over 25 units in my years. And I'm trying to give you information and education, and you are just roadblocking me. I've bought one unit, I understand everything there is to understand about property, and I was just like,
And
what am I wasting
I'm
my time?
so different to Jody. Like, Jody's an elephant. He remembers freaking everything. It's ridiculous. It's really hard to have an argument with him. Not that we really argue anymore, but when he he can do that to somebody. He can recite things back. I'm not like that, and I don't really want. I can't really be bothered wasting the energy anyway, to be honest. But a couple of things that I would say would be, says who? You know, when someone says something, says who? Do you know that? Have you been there? Have you seen them? Have you spoken to that person? Nope. Or that's an interesting point of view. Because that's, at the end of the day, that's really all it is. It's just a point of view, you know, and yours will be different to the person next to you, and that's okay.
even with the same information.
Yeah.
So that's like we can both read the same thing, and Leah can say back, oh, what they're saying is this, and I'll be like, piss off, that's not what they're saying. They're saying that blah blah blah, and I'll be like, what? Read and reread it again, and that could just be the placement of words. It could be the understanding of your words. It could be the language. It could be the mood that you're in and reading that. It could be the trauma that you're related to those words. No, pedos need to die and be hung up, and you know this one's like, no, we need to. They've got trauma. That's what's causing them. You know, and I shouldn't say that she would defend a pedo. They deserve to be shot. But yeah, like you know, it's tolerance for other people, and it is true inclusion in its truest form, not the bullshit narrative that they feed us and actually segregate us into smaller and smaller groups by defining each of these so-called inclusiveness into such a finite little piece of tablet that they feed it to and poison what is inclusion and what is diversity. Because the reality is we're 100 times worse in this country than we ever were before we started talking about it. You know, for creating factions and putting situations in pressure cookers and then putting it under the microscope like the little bully that burns the ants. You know, that's what they're doing at the moment. Focus is in causing fires, gaslighting. So look, I don't want to get down the.
Yeah, I think we've rambled on past what
We went
talking
past
about.
what the point of it was. Leah is available for conversation at any time, as I always say that I am. If you want any more information, we will do our best to give the low-level bits of information we do. I mean, obviously, you know, we're new to the journey. We're trying to educate ourselves, and we're just putting stuff out there so people can draw parallels to it. Maybe inspire some thought or some different thought. But we are creative humans, and we are creative beings, and we need to be creative in our recovery. But we also are fighting a multi-level war where they have thought about every single level all the way up. So we need people at every single level fighting all the way down. So, like I said, if you're at your your local community awareness society or stand in the park group, and you're the stamp licker, you know, that licks the stamps and writes the addresses to send out to the local councillors, that's just as important as the job as the douchebag standing up on the thing screaming with big, loud, booming voice that we will crush everybody. There's a bit of my Bosie. But, you know, so anything is good enough, and any response is strong enough, because we know that you're awake, and we know that you care, and we know that you're pushing back against what their system is. And just that intent, just the energy that is created, the positive energy that is created from the intent of doing something like that, is worth exponential benefits to this planet and to the what's the word that we use, collective,
Yeah.
to the collective, not I.
Yeah, that's where it's very important. All
We.
of our energy is connected, even to the bad guys, because we're in this polar, you know, everything's duality, and we have polar opposites for everything in this particular moment. But yeah, we're all connected, and we can't win this with one person. We need, you know, majority rules, basically. Majority rules. So if we can get majority of people thinking the same way, then we win. That's exactly how it works. So.
And understanding that they're holding a majority with about 1% of the population at the moment, just by tricking how we think and how we act.
Well, apparently.
But you know what I mean, like there's not a lot of them that are pulling the strings.
Yeah.
There might be lots of puppets that are
Yeah.
working for the people pulling the strings, but that's something
Yeah, there's
that
definitely a lot more of us for sure.
there's definitely a lot more of us, and we have a lot more power than we know, and that's the
Yes.
secret is making sure that everybody understands the power that we've got, even just in our own reality, even just in our own bodies, even just healing ourselves with positive energy and doing some things that incorporate that, not thinking about their tablets and their doctors.
They want us in fear, which obviously I think most people on your channel would know that they want us in fear, and you only have to look around to see that, you know. So if we can remove ourselves from that, then what have they got? They haven't got nothing on us.
So, alright, I'll sign off. Like I said, 6 foot 100 kilo alpha meathead underground coal mining football player who was a bully for most of his life to defend himself, hurt people, has turned the corner through the hard work of Leah being there to help me, and the extremely hard work of me turning my focus inwards rather than outwards to find the real answers to defeating the trauma, which will allow me to ascend to some higher levels of consciousness and be a lot more alert and aware to what is going on. And
on that, don't think that Jodie's putting, like, as much as he's making it sound really nice that I've been the one that's helped him. He's done all the work, because I could have still run his bars and he still could have chosen the same path if he wanted to. We have to choose. All of this is a choice. This is all a choice. If you want to be in pain, it's a choice. If you want to heal, it's a choice. Everything is a choice, whether you think it or not. There'll be naysayers. They'll say no, it's not, and that's okay. That's fine. But he's done all the work. I just flicked the switch to say, here it is, over here, if you want to try it, and he decided to. So, great job.
Spirit in me, Spirit and Me is Spirit + me. Spirit and Me is Leah's site on Facebook. Jump in, give it a like, give it a follow. Watch. Leah doesn't do a lot of her own content at the moment. Obviously, this is the first time I've ever got her onto the video. She said she wasn't going to really enjoy it that much. She hasn't shut up, so it's been good. So
And if you like this video, make sure you like it and share it, because there might be people out there, friends out there, that you might think, oh, they can really benefit from this information. I feel like there's a lot of information out there, but nobody really pulls everything in. You've kind of got to search this from this and this from this and that from that. And that was one thing that I really wanted to do this video on, because it kind of pulls all the information, as much as it's short bits of information, it pulls it all into one spot. So I hope it's been of help to some people.
And that's why I say keep the book open. And that's why I say don't go down one rabbit hole so far that you only end up stuck down there with your asshole in the air.
Definitely.
Because that's when you can get really, when you can't defend your asshole because your head's so far stuck down one rabbit hole. There's so many complexities to this that you'll find even if you keep digging in that rabbit hole, sooner or later it goes across 3 other rabbit holes and ends up in somewhere completely different.
Yeah. We've all been there.
Yeah, that's right. So this is about us having balance, and this is why I'll finish with my thing of the spiritual, physical, intellectual, financial, emotional as the 5 pillars that I've been rebuilding myself based around. There's other pillars, but I needed those 5 ones to keep educating myself, because being average is hard work. When you do 20% of each of those things per week, that equals that. Just by definition, it's average, because you're never going to be the master of the spiritual, the master of the physical, the master of the intellectual, the master of the financial, the master of the emotional. You can't be the master of all of them. So when you're only doing some work on each of them, you're average at them by default, and that's good enough, because that's bloody hard work. And sorry, we just had a little glitch right at the end there. So that's it. We thank you very much. Like and share, and congratulate my beautiful wife for finally making it onto the camera. The work she does and the work that plenty of healers out there are doing is fantastic, and it's going to be a game changer for the way this 3D world is running.